Welcome to today's edition of Satin's Media Weekly Talk Show. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's going to be another wonderful time here in Satin's Media studio. Just if you're joining us today for the very first time, you tell us where you're joining from. Just put it on the comment section. Where are you joining from? Thank you for joining here. We already see some persons joining. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. I trust God that the session today will be a wonderful one, and we're hoping and believing that everything that will be done here this evening will be something that will enrich each and every one of us. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about a very important topic. Last week also, we did well to also talk about another important topic that relates to each and every one of us on how to win competitive scholarship. And one of our guests was here last week, and he actually dealt with how to win scholarship, what you need to do, the various processes. And this evening, we are having another guest that will also take us through what time management is all about. We discover something that most of our students, their own is just to go to school. They don't know how to manage their time. They don't know how to actually get the right time to probably read or to do research or to go online and all that. A whole lot of things that we're going to be looking at today. And also, generally, in our life endeavor, we want to be looking at time management. How do you manage your time as a student? How do you manage your time as an individual? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And our guest this evening happens to be someone that I know, and I'm very, very sure she has spent her time very well, judiciously, and that's what brought her thus far. So this evening, I'm seeing some persons joining. Just comment where you're joining from. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Satim's Media. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our Facebook page, like, follow, and put on the notification button at Satim's Media so that you will receive all the notification whenever we are online. Thank you for joining us this evening. So this evening we are having a special guest. We're having a special guest today, and yes, it's time to bring our guest in. We have one of our own by name Pauline Adetola. Pauline Adetola, good evening.
Hello, Tim. Good evening.
Good
Hi.
evening. Thank you for joining us.
The pleasure
How
is
are you doing?
I'm all fine, thank you.
Yeah. How was service today?
Well, it was lovely, actually. How was yours?
It was wonderful. Bless God. So thank you very much for joining us, and we trust God that the session today will be something that would enrich each and every one of us. So, what is your expectation this evening? What are you expecting from the audience, and also what are you expecting to give back to the audience this evening?
Well, actually, this evening I'm expecting quite a lively audience, and I'm expecting questions, and I'm expecting to the audience to ask questions and get some of their question answered, and I'm expecting them also to answer some of my questions.
Okay, thank you very, thank you very much. That's lovely. So, can you please introduce yourself to the audience so that they will know you better?
Okay, so um, Tim already said my name. So by name, I'm Pauline Aditola, Yoruba by tribe. Was raised in the north, so I speak a little Hausa. Understand a little Igbo too, because I'm a
Okay.
mixture of both. Um, and I like spending my time watching movies, researching, and hanging out with friends, even though I'm bad at that. So basically, I think that sums me up.
Okay. Your undergraduate program, your postgraduate. Where did you do them? Let's know you so that we'll know how to tackle ourselves this evening.
So for my undergraduate program, I did Bodipo Adma University of Technology. That is in Yola, Adma State. It
Okay.
was formerly called Federal University of Technology, Yola. So I studied electrical technology education. My story is quite a long one because I initially applied for pure engineering, but then
Okay.
when the admission came out, I was given technology education, and I was like, no, I didn't. I was discouraged and not taking it. Wanted to swap my course, but then a lecturer of mine told me that what you study and first as an undergraduate doesn't really determine how far you would go in life. That
Mm,
basically because it's just a starting point for you as a person, as an individual in life, that you can do whatever you want to do outside your university level. So yeah, that's my university journey. So from there, I then proceeded to do to Nottingham Trent University to do my MSc, where I then focused on pure engineering, electronics part of the engineering, and it's been a lovely journey since then. We give glory to God for that.
oh, thank you very much. Thank you for that story. It's been wonderful. So we're looking at the concept of time management this evening. We're going to be having a rundown of what time management is all about, and also how you have spent your time judiciously in different facets of life, academically, and also in the circular life, where you've actually talked about that you, though you're bad at that, hanging out with friends. So how you're able to manage your time hanging out with friends, how you're able to manage your time on social media, how you're able to manage your time also with your own academics. So can you tell us what you understand by the concept of time management?
Personally, I see time as just like an infinite thing. So, in my personal opinion, time is an that infinite thing that is attached to an event. So, it is actually the event that is attached to it that brings up the time.
Okay.
And in essence of management, it's just how you manage events, how you manage people, how you manage circumstances around you. So to link both up, I would say time management simply means how you are able to actively conveniently conduct events in respect to what particular minutes, hours, seconds that is of the day you find yourself.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. During your undergraduate program, we want to actually know how you were able to maneuver your time with your classes, your time with reading, your time in the church. Like, just give us a general overview how you were able to go through all that.
Okay, so during my undergraduate program, would I
Okay,
say
sorry, Pauline. Sorry. Can we go a little bit? Let's go a little bit backward. Can you tell us your secondary school? Let's start with that because we have some secondary school student that is listening to us this evening. So how were you able to manage your time in your secondary school time before we now go to the university setting?
uh, honestly for secondary school, what I would say, because I particularly picked subjects that I was interested in.
Okay.
So what I simply did was usually during what you call it break, long events like this holidays and things like that during secondary school. So what I do, because is just to pick up a textbook for the subject I'm most interested in and then go through it so that when school actually resumes, I'm kind of like, I would be like few chapters or more ahead of what is being taught in class. So that simply helped me because doing that, I was able to kind of save time in school. So certain times when I'm supposed to be reading, I would be reading quite ahead of what has been taught. So in that essence, in secondary school, simply what I did was just to study ahead, and then I played a lot and I attended fellowship a lot in secondary school. So I was kind of in FCS, then it's called Fellowship of Christian Students. So I was basically always there. And then my time was from FCS to church to my mom's shop because my mom owned the shop then.
Yeah.
So during that space of time, because I know that after school, there's high probability I would not study. So what I simply do is at night, because I know from there I have to go to my mom's shop, and then in the evenings I go to church. So what I just do is at night before I go to bed, I just have like a 2 hours study and then
Okay.
go to bed. So practically in secondary school, that's what helped me.
Probably that was where most of us we missed it during our secondary school days because we're just trying to meet up with our friends and just we're just there. So, but this concept of procrastination, I feel, started from the uh, primary school, secondary school, and it will follow the people down to their university, just all like that. So, what do you have to say about the concept of procrastination? People trying to shift what they are supposed to do at a particular time. What do you have to say about that?
I think the concept of procrastination, I think it's a mental thing that's in us as Africans. It's something that we've tend to revolve around. So I believe if not 90% of us are guilty. Because one thing with procrastination is that if it makes it convenient for you.
Okay.
Procrastination is doing things at your own convenience, even when you're supposed to do things, even if it's not convenient for you. So because we're groomed around doing things that are convenient to us, so it makes procrastination, would I say, a form of convenience.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's why as a person, I am trying as much as I can to try to avoid procrastination, because it what it does is it keeps you okay at the level you are.
Mm, mm,
So if I'm supposed to do something and I decide, okay, I don't want to do it now, I want to do it maybe tomorrow, I'm doing it at my own convenience so that it will feel okay with me.
wow.
So that's the logic behind procrastination. But then if we try as individuals to inconvenience ourselves to achieve a goal, to achieve a particular aim,
Yeah.
then we then tend to begin to, would I say, defeat procrastination on its own. So
Wow.
to be able to defeat procrastination, we must be able to do things that would inconvenience us, irrespective of the outcome.
Wow.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful reply. Because this has always been a kind of a counter work that I've eaten deep into life of students, not excluding myself, because I the reason why I actually felt this topic is something that should be looked at because I personally have issue with time management. I have serious issues with it, and my friends they know about it. So probably after today, after learning a lot from you, I should be able to adjust my time and know when to do a particular thing and when not to do it. So let's now move over to your undergraduate days. Finding yourself in a particular environment where, or in a course where you did not actually apply for, and now you got to meet strange things all over. So how were you able to cope in your undergraduate days, trying to manage your time with a course that you are probably strained with, or you didn't want to study in your undergraduate program? So how were you able to manage your time, going to classes, church, even studying a particular book, just to make sure you make headway in your academic pursuits?
Okay, so for my undergraduate, I wouldn't say I was actually like managing my time properly in the first few years.
Okay.
This is because in 100 level, 200 level, I came up from the secondary school that we used to crash program.
Mm,
So what that simply means is that you wait till when the exam is close, a test is like 2 days or the next day, and then you do fire brigade at night and then you go for it. So that kind of mentality, I think I stuck to it in my 100 level, 200 level. So what happens is that my course, it wasn't something I was strange to. because it had the element of things I wanted to do, but it wasn't just something I wanted to do. I wanted the pure part of it, not a mixture of engineering and education part. So while doing the course in 100 level, I had some little challenges, not because I couldn't do it, but because I felt I just did not want to do it. But then one thing kept me going. I was thinking of switching department, as I said to you. But then I was like, if I wanted to switch, I had to do good. So if I want to switch to any department, I would have a good CGPA and would be accepted to that department. I also had my exam officer. Then he would always, if he sees me, because I was the only lady in my
In your
set.
class. Yeah.
So if he sees me, he would always say my daughter, and then he would be like, study your book," and I'll be like, "Okay, sir." But my intention then was just to get a good GPA and get out of the
Which,
department. So that crash program was there. So 100 level crash program, 200 level I did crash programs a lot. So like if I'm to have a test, I would not study till maybe few hours to the time. I would take my book and go. Actually, it helped a bit. That was because we were already used to crash programs. But then I took a stand to change it in 300 level. After my exam officer told me that what I study in undergrad does not mean it depend. I should finish well, and then I can go to whatever field I want to venture into. So that was what made me to actually change that look of things in 300 level. And so what I did then from 300 level was that before I go to class, I always set out a time. So I would want to read this for 2 hours. I want to sleep for 2 hours. I would go to fellowship. Fellowship usually is between 2 and 3 hours, and you come back. But then I had this thing. If you say fellowship ends by 8 o'clock and you extend it till 8:30, I would not be there to finish that fellowship with you.
okay.
Because I felt that if we're preaching time, it should start from church or whatever godly function it is. So that was how I kept my time. If your fellowship ends, if you say 8:30 on the time or 8 o'clock and you extend it, I would have gone before then. Because I want to read. I don't do night readings like most people do during my undergrad. I sleep by 10.
Mm.
So whatever fellowship I attend, once it's 8 o'clock, I'm going to my class. I know that class I don't read more than 2 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes. So what I do is that I build that up. So if I take 2 hours 30 minutes every day to read, a- aside from the lectures that we attend during the day, and then when you come back from lecture you're tired and things like that, so that time for lecture is strictly let's leave it for lecture and rest, and you have to come back, cook what you eat and things like that. So I set out that night time to read. So what it simply means is that before every lecture I attend, I would just flip through the notes, go through the notes, and then go through other things, materials online about it. So when I'm in class, you can't just pop up a surprise quiz or a surprise test. I'm always ready because that's what I decided to do when I took a turn. So I believe from my 300 level, uh, whatever grades I had in 100 and 200 level was like the start of it. 300 level, 400 level, and 500 level just helped me build up my grades. So I believe in terms of time management, when it comes to being an undergraduate student or in whatever space and time it is, you have to make it a conscious effort to do it. It's something that you have to plan. It has to become a part of you. Someone said, his name is Miles. He said, time isn't the main thing. Time is the only thing we have. time isn't the main thing, it's the only thing we have. Time is what we have the most, but it's what we use the least. We use it was the least in whatever we do. So as a person, I believe time management is far beyond you being who you are. It's a conscious effort. It's
Mhm.
something you have to do consciously. It's something that has to be ringing at the back of your mind because procrastination would always be there. There's always something that wants you to push it forward,
Mhm.
to do other things in place of what you're supposed to do. There's always that weak factor in us. So, but when we choose to consciously do it, it then becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
So that's what I could say about time management.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pauline Adetola, for uh, how you've actually explained your story, your journey thus far. So I think a question is coming to my mind right away as you were trying to explain your. We have actually dealt with secondary school and undergraduates. So probably the next thing we have to go to your postgraduate program, which you actually did excellently well. So you have to tell us how you were able to do it so that some of us will also learn. But before that, during your undergraduate program, did you, because we have one concept of let me write down my timetable. I remember then I used to write Timothy times table, T square timetable. And no, in the course of doing that, I think I'll just tell myself this timetable, I'm going to use it. The first 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, I'll use it. Before I know, I'll miss one. Before you know it, I've even forgotten that I wrote a timetable. So, do you have the timetable that you were using during your undergraduate program?
Well, apart from the general timetable, there was a time I had a timetable
Okay.
of okay, I want to do this, but as you said, I'm guilty of that too. Of the fact that I first do it the first day, second day, and then maybe the next week I've forgotten that that timetable exists. So simply what I decided to do is just to stick with my lecture timetable. So if I have a class like two classes on a day, I'll just take that same two courses and split it in the night, just do 1 hour each and go and sleep. Because I know that it's discipline. We need to be
Yeah.
disciplined actually
Yeah.
to be able to follow
Absolutely.
that particular time. And I know that I wasn't had that discipline as a then to do that. So to be able to curb that indiscipline, I decided to just do the normal timetable that is given by our various departments and just decide that okay, because we're doing having two courses today, I'll just stick to that two courses and do it. So that at least helped me to be able to judiciously use that. That's all I can say. But in regards to building your own timetable and following it, as much as you are guilty, I'm guilty of not following it at all. So what I simply do in such cases is to force myself sometimes to discipline myself to follow it regularly.
Okay.
And when I'm getting weak or feeling bored of that timetable, I switch it up and change the whole timetable to follow a different alignment. Because sometimes
So,
it could be
yeah,
because you're following the same regiment of events. You're bored
absolutely.
of that regiment of events and then you want to get away from it.
Okay. So, since we are both guilty of the same crime or the same thing, so what advice do you have to tell others, audience out there that is also guilty of the same crime? Because they will need a solution. Since we are guilty, I guess you have the solution right now after going through your undergraduate, your postgraduate. So, um, they should you should have the solutions. You tell them, okay, this is the solution to this problem. So, what do you think is the solution to the problem right now of that issue of timetable?
I think know what works for you. Not everybody can follow a strict regiment and go through with it. Just know what works for you. Some of us we need certain people to continuously tell us this is what you should do. Do this. You need someone to say, okay, it's time for this, let's go. And other people can follow through with whatever time and schedule they have set for themselves. So for me, in such a scenario, I would just say know what works for you as a person. We're all different. So what works for you would not work for me. So in terms of time management and following what you want to do, your plans, it's just like this New Year resolution we set. Most of us set it on the 31st, and then by the 3rd of January, we have forgotten that we set a New Year resolution or what, or a time that we want to achieve something. So I feel know what works for you. If it's your phone
Yeah.
that would alert you to do something, if it's an alarm, set it. If it's a friend that would tell you, ah, get up, let's do this, go
Yeah.
ahead. Tell that friend, see you, I want to do this and do this. Can you please tell me when it's time? Can you please alert me when it's time? Can you do this for me? If you need that kind of reminder, set it. And if you're the type of person that can follow a regimented timetable, go ahead, follow it. So I just feel know what works for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Probably I had the issue. Yeah, I must say I had the issue then in my undergraduate program because I am one person that I can have exam, let's say by one, and before that morning I have not opened that book at all. It's just that morning I'll pick it up. Within the period of 2 3 hours I can cover a lot, and I will just go to the exam hall, pour it the way I crammed it, and after then I'll sleep and it's off. So it's not a good one. I would never advise anybody to do that, but I was able to scale through until I learned better. So you're on your postgraduate program. Let's look at that now. Like during your postgraduate program, how were you able to manage your time? In quotes, coming to the Western world where distraction is the order of the day. Like a whole lot of things want to distract you over here. So how were you able to manage your time during your postgraduate program? And
Okay.
mind you, and you were able to graduate excellently well, how were you able to manage your time?
Oh, well, honestly, that postgraduate program, there's a little because we come to a place where you are at liberty and choice of attending a class. You can choose to sleep off in class.
Yeah,
It was a bit challenging because I cannot count the number of times that I've played my system, logged into a class, and slept off
slept off.
because I wasn't enjoying the class or because I wasn't just going through it for that day. Um, I cannot count, and I cannot count the number of times that even during the postgraduate program that I have waited till 2 days to when assessment is due, and then climb on it and spend the whole night doing it. So I would not say I'm that perfect when it comes to time, but then I would say something that helped me was that apart from the timetable we set that we have classes 9 to this, when I do have assessment to do, I always start doing it like way ahead. So if I'm giving an assessment now and it's due in a month's time, what I simply do we take first question. I can take a week to answer the first question,
Yeah,
and I can take 2 weeks. So what I do is just take a question, spend a whole bunch of time on it. Take the second question, spend a whole bunch of time on it. So that when the time to submit that assessment comes, I'm not struggling to do all together to submit it. That's some of the assessments, not all, mind you.
okay.
Because still some we still do a crash program. But the ones that I feel like this is going to take a whole of my time and I'm not going to be able to finish it if I say I'm going to do a crash program on it. That's that's how I do it. So I know usually the assessment they give 1 month to time, and then you can have 2 assessments to do within that time. So that's how I just split it. I split the questions like I'll use this whole week to do you. I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this so that when I have few hours to the time, I would just be putting finishing touches to my assessment. Basically, that's what saw me through.
Okay, is 24 hours of the day enough to meet up with a particular target that you've set?
Well, That question is relative. When
Okay.
I say relative, it depends on what
On the
targets that you
you said, yeah.
set. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for some, 24 hours is more than enough time.
Mhm.
And others, you have to spend more than 24 hours to do that. So that's why I say that question is relative. So
Okay. Yeah,
if
sorry,
I,
let me just buttress on it a bit. Like your own case that you're doing on a radio program that you said you were reading probably 2 hours, 30 minutes a day. How were you able to cover all your courses? Like, you just have 24 hours of the day. How were you able to cover it like that?
well, because you don't have the full 24 hours to yourself,
Okay.
you still have to split it within going to lecture, having your time to relax, having your time to go out with friends, and having a time to maybe go to fellowship or something you love doing.
Yeah.
So you don't have the whole 24 hours to yourself. I think, except for a business person, and even in business, you don't have the whole 24 hours to yourself. So what I would simply say, studying my whole course would was not possible on, if I'm to be truthful. All I simply did was study as much as I can and try to understand what I'm studying. It's a different thing to study, because one thing I've learned in school back then is people study, but you just study to pass what you're studying for. You're not particularly studying to understand it. So if I take an exam tomorrow, if you ask me anything to do with the course next week, I don't know a single thing about it. So that's how most of us,
Yeah.
we're not looking at it in a dimension where you want to understand and see how applicable it can be, so that even on a random day someone can just pop up to you and ask you a question and
Yeah.
you'll be able to and understand it. So we all find that that is particularly lacking in most of us, as I don't know, maybe it's the system of education or just individuals, but most of us, that's what we do, which is very wrong. So in terms of studying to understand whatever course I'm doing, what I simply do is just to take it my time. Like, in regards to your question, it's not easy studying all the whole curriculum
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the. So I think what you just do is take the one you can understand, go further with it. That's the best you can do, because I'm not sure there's a single person that would say he or she wants to study the whole curriculum and be perfect in
Yeah.
everything. I'm sure that you would have your strong points and your weak points. For
That's
me,
true.
whatever the strong point is or the weak point is, build it up so that even in your weak points, it's not all that visible to people to obviously point out that you're
Okay.
very weak in this or that.
Okay. So, what were some of these challenges that you faced while trying to manage your time? Because I know that definitely there are going to be challenges that you faced along the journey of trying to manage your time. So, what were some of these challenges?
Personally, I would say indiscipline for me
Mm.
was one of the challenge I faced. Not being disciplined with what I want to do, and indecisiveness, not knowing what I wanted to do. So in terms of managing my time, I would say those were the two challenges I faced. Because how do you manage your time if you don't know what you want to do?
That's
Or
true.
what are you managing? Another challenge I would say I faced is procrastination at some point. Because when it comes to managing time, I've already said, okay, I would do five things here. I will end up doing three, and the rest I push it up to another day. Also another challenge that I face, and then lack of planning and preparation when it comes to time management. Because time management is, to me, is almost same as self management.
Okay.
Because for you to manage your time, you must manage yourself.
Mm. For
How
you
do
to
you
manage your time, you must manage yourself. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, how do you manage your time when yourself you're not organized?
Mm.
So in whatever you do, you must manage yourself. So when it comes to time management, there are a lot of shortfalls, But
Yeah.
it all boils down to how do you manage yourself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that answer. If you must manage your time, you have to also manage yourself. No wonder someone said procrastination is the foundation of all disasters. So once you procrastinate, you are always you are not helping yourself at all. So let's look at it from this angle now, Pauline. Uh, as a student, there are a whole lot of things that is approaching you. I know of somebody that was a medical student. At the same time, he was working in an NGO. He was with us then in Yali, and also he owns a travel agent. And this guy was doing well in this in his own in all this area. So my question is it easy or is it possible to have a different areas that you're working alongside your academics and you're still doing well in all these areas, trying to manage all of them at the same, like trying to, everything must go well at the same time, like you are just managing all the time. So is that really possible?
Well, I think it's individual based, but logically it's possible.
Okay.
You can engage in different things at different times and still be successful in them. You can engage in different activities and still tend to achieve success and all. But it's just individual based. So that's why it's important to know yourself, know your limits, and know what you can do. Some of us can do three things at a time. Personally, I know I can listen to a lecture and talk to someone at the same
Mm.
time.
And you
But
understand.
yes, but then you find people that cannot do that. I can read, watch a movie, and talk on the phone. So that's like I'm splitting myself in three things and
Yeah.
I still understand what I'm doing. But for someone else, you can only concentrate on one thing at a time. So if you want to achieve major success, you can do that if you understand yourself. That's the bottom line of time management.
Mm. Okay. I think what you just said now has to um, it has to do with, if I must say, if it has to do with gender base. I know a whole lot of ladies, they are good when it comes to doing different things at the time. That's why you see mothers in a home, they, they are cooking at the same time, taking care of their baby, at the same time attending to the husband, at the same time on call, like they're doing a whole lot of things at the same time, and the thing, they are all going well. So why for guys, if if you ask me to be doing two things at a time, one we have to, I'll do one better than the other. I haven't seen a time whereby my mom, she's preparing food and maybe attending to the children, and maybe the salt in the food will be more or anything, or the children or the baby is crying. No, she will take care of the two things at the same time, and they are all going well. So probably is based on gender, if I must say, because and not just me alone, even my friends around me, they are passing through the same thing too. Because if I'm talking to my friend and I'm cooking, you don't want to taste the food, you don't want to taste it, because that food will be something that. So we want to also look at this time management. We've looked at it from the academical point of view. Now we want to take it to the outside world, like managing your time as let's say somebody that is as an employee. How are you able to manage your time as an employee? Then later we cannot come to the family, how you manage your time as a father, a mother, and also children, how they manage their time, because this time management is very broad, and it is wide enough to look at. So how can one manage his or her time as an employee? You're working in a company. How can you, because let me use myself as an example. I got a job that I need to wake up as early as 4 a.m. Man, I have I have the problem of waking up on time before, but waking up by 4 a.m. became a big problem for me. Though I've tried as much as I can to always meet up, but it's not always easy. So in such a situation, how can one manage his or her time as an employee in a particular company?
Okay, first of all, I would like to disregard the notion that time management is gender based. It's not gender
Okay.
based. It's not gender based at all. It's individual based. So you can find a guy that can do five things at a time. It just depends on what he wants to do
Wow.
at the time. So it's not gender based. Don't go there.
Thank you for that.
So as regards to being an employee and managing your time to meet your employer's demand, I would simply say that because you yourself sought for the job or whatever you're doing, and then you decided to sign the contract, and I seen the fact that okay, yes, I would resume this time and close this time because that will be on your contract, and
Yeah.
I'll be paid this amount of for this time. Good thing is in this country you're paid per hour.
Oh,
You're paid for your time. So you're paid for the amount of time you stay at work. So if you don't go there, you'll not be paid. Am I right?
yeah.
So in regards to being able to manage your time adequately as an employee, I would say it just boils down to discipline. Because I know that of the time where I resume work by 8:50 and I close by was it 6:20. So one thing I noticed is that prior to then, I love sleeping up until 9. Not like sleeping deep, but I'll be in bed up until 9. And then it's 9 o'clock that I would get out of bed and do whatever I want to do at home. And then start planning my day, how it's going to go, what I want to do, and things like that. But during the period of that particular work, I had to set up an alarm. I asked a friend to call me just because I want to wake up early. So I had to be able to put my mind in myself in the right frame of mind. And then I used all available medium to wake up at that time. So in terms of work, it takes discipline. So you
Yeah.
just need to discipline yourself to get up early and go to work because you have an employer to please. So once it comes to the aspect of work,
Yeah.
it's expedient for a person to discipline himself or herself
Absolutely. Yeah.
to go into work at the time expected and not few hours late or 30 minutes late. In this country, if you're 30 minutes late, it gets taken out of your paycheck. Am I
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's definitely.
So, what they're trying to preach is discipline with your time. If you leave work 30 minutes early, you get paid 30 minutes taken out of your time. So it's discipline. The employers have disciplined their time, their work zone to pay you in accordance with what you're able to put in for them. Same thing as a person, you have to come up with a plan or come up with a conscious decision to discipline yourself to get
Yeah.
into time if you want to make the amount of money or earn the amount of money expected for that role. So that's what job is. It's unlike a place back at home that you can resume time, work 30 minutes late, close work 4 hours to time, and no one is checking, and you still get paid
Wow.
in full. So you
Okay.
just
Yeah. So because I had an issue because well, there was a day I went to work. I got to work a minute after 5, and I was to resume 5 a.m. I got to work a minute after 5, and man, my supervisor that day, uh, I think sometimes I go to work 10 minutes, 20 minutes. She will not say anything, but getting to work a minute after 5, in fact, she rained down heaven that day, and I was like, all these days you've not been saying anything. She said, yeah, she had been waiting for me to actually do something little so that she can talk to me. So to our audience out there, we have to manage our time judiciously. You have to make use of it, and whatever you're doing, you have to make sure that take it as if this thing actually belongs to you, and that's the only way that you can do it excellently well. You can do it in a way that you will not have issues, and you'll be able to meet up with the time. So before we'll come back to continue with our program this evening, we'll just quickly go on a 30 seconds break, and after the break, we'll be back. Stay tuned. Okay, well, welcome back from our 30 seconds break. We still have with us in the Satin Media Studio, Pauline Adetola, a scholar per excellence. So she has actually been dealing with the concept of time management. So if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have not liked or follow our Facebook page, do well to also do that at Satims Media. You can also follow us on Instagram too at Satims Media. So we've looked at the concept of time management from the academical point of view. We've seen it from as an employee. Now we want to look at it as a family. But before we look at that area, Pauline, do you believe in the concept of Africa time? Let's look at that area now. Do you believe in the concept of Africa time?
I think we all grew up with that concept of African time. So it's something that is already part of us in a way, in a sense. So yes, kind of.
Okay, what can you say about it? And is it something good or something that is not good? So what can you say about the concept of Africa time?
I think personally, African time is extremely unhealthy because over the years I've conditioned my mind to always want to go to a program early. And once you say it's going to take 2 hours, before getting to that program, I've conditioned my mind to stay for 2 hours. So I'm spending 2 hours there, and if you exceed 2 hours, my whole mind is out of your program. I might be physically there, but mentally I'm gone away from that program. So in regards to African time, it's a very bad mentality. And as Africans, we need to try to change it because in one way or the other, it has effect on what we do. And subconsciously, it we tend to practice it because it's already become a part of you. And then when you leave that setting where that African time is dominant, it now takes you a whole lot of getting used to. So, in as much as the concept African time is there, and it's something is it like is engraved in our system,
No.
but then if you're relating it to real life scenarios, real life situation, it's definitely a bad thing to practice. How about if we spend African time in the hospitals? What do you think would happen?
People will die.
That's just it.
Okay, the concept of Africa time is not something that should be encouraged anywhere in your office, in any function that you're meant to go. When we started this talk show, I actually said that I have a big challenge when it comes to time management, because the essence of this program is to actually help people out of the problem, or out of what they might be passing through. I've missed a whole lot of, up to, if I'm not mistaken, up to about 4 or 5 job interviews due to the inadequacy to meet up with time. And in fact, my friend can testify to it. I can just be in my room, and they are expected to see me by 5. I will just be there seated till about, let's say, 4:50. That's when I'll remember, oh, I have a function by 5. I'll quickly run before I take my bath. Let me leave my house. Before I leave my house, it's already 5. So it has been something that has been happening over and over again, until a day I had to take a decision that this thing is not too right, and I have to work on it. So even when I got to this part of the world, it was still like a challenge. But God helping me, after taking my decision, I started working on it. Started using alarm. It's that what I started using at the very beginning. So um, alarm actually helped me, but I think there was one it did help me recently. I was supposed to cancel a subscription, but the alarm did not ring, so they ended up taking my money. So what I'm trying to say is, this issue of time management is actually important. So this problem of Africa time is already in our vein. It has eaten deep into our bone marrow. So it will actually take time. You take a lot of discipline for you to take that out of your blood. It is something that we have to do. Whenever you're working, whenever you find yourself, make sure that the concept of Africa time is not seen in you. Then back to our guest this evening, Pauline Adetola. So let's look at the family setting now. How do you think people should manage their time in a home? Like the father, the mother, the children, you need to have time to discuss, you need to have time to talk. So like managing the time with your children, probably your father is a maybe an employee in a company. How should he manage his time in his place of work and at home? Your mom, the same thing. The children probably working. How do you talk to, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so in your own view overview, you're just trying to say how can we manage time in a family setting? Am I right?
Yes, how can we manage a family setting? Yeah.
So I believe as a father, in 24 hours, I'm sure that as a family, you have some families that set out children go to bed by 9, depending on their age. And you have some families that children go to bed by 7, depending on their age too. So personally, I feel like when it comes to the role of the father in terms of time management and in regards to job space, sometimes it's difficult because you find out that, for instance, for someone working in Lagos that wakes up by 5 or 4 to get a bus going to a place of work, and then when you're coming back, you're in traffic for most of your time, and you get back home by 10, it then becomes a bit difficult to be able to adequately have time to spend with your children, especially the young ones that probably had gone to bed around that time.
Yeah.
So, in that kind of regard, you can absolutely blame the parents. But for me, one thing I would suggest in that scenario is that when it comes to having family time with your kids, with your spouse, it boils down to just planning yourself, your time yourself.
Mm.
So I know that if I work in a place like Lagos, for instance, probably during the week, I might not have the chance to actively engage or involve my children in my life or in be involved in their life. I can take out a weekend to do that, to catch up, to get to know what's going on in their life. It's easier for you to catch up with your spouse coming back from work, being on the same bed, catch up, how was your day, and things like that. But then in regards to time management, in that kind of setting, it becomes a bit difficult and challenging to catch up during the week. Then you plan on how to do that at a more convenient time in the weekend. Or if you can wake up early enough to have a word of fellowship with them, that's fine. So just discipline what time of the day or week works best for both parties. But if you then stay in an environment whereby you're able to close from work and still meet up with your children and your spouse, that's fair enough. I believe you can set up 30 minutes, 1 hour, family time, family chat, find out what's happening in their life, joke about with them. That's good. So in that scenario, you're able to plan. So I'm back from work by this time. I would have a shower. I would have my meal and then have a chat for 20 minutes. Or go to their individual rooms, have a chat with them for 20 minutes, get to know how their day went, and it comes to an end. It's easier that way. But I think in regards to family, there's no one way to effectively manage time in a
Time,
family
yeah.
settings. It depends on your type of family and what works for that family. I think when it comes to family setting, it's a bit challenging for an individual to say, okay, this is how you should manage your time as a family. But I just think it's discipline for both parties. That's the spouse. It's just entails discipline and how you want to the relationship you want to build with your children or people that live with you or stay around you. So that's what I feel when it comes to family setting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pauline Adetola, for the time this evening. You have actually dealt with the concept of time management. So that's why someone rightly said that time is the most valuable coin in our life, and you alone can determine how to spend your coin. So you have to be careful so that another person will not spend your coin for you. So if another person begins to spend your time for you, that becomes a problem. So on a final note, Pauline Adetola, what do you have to tell the audience before you go this evening?
On a final note, a scholar once said, time management is life management.
Mm,
So when it regards to time, it also defines how your life would be.
wow.
So if you don't effectively and efficiently manage your time, your life then goes the way you've planned it.
Yeah.
So time management is essential because it's non-refundable.
Mm, it's
So
non.
whatever intention you have for your time is what makes up that time. The event I place around a particular minute, hours, seconds is what that time is referenced to.
Yeah.
So, as an individual that wants to gain something in life or wants to attain a certain height for yourself, I think it is expedient to be able to intentionally manage your time because it has a ripple effect on how your tomorrow, how your life would be.
Yeah.
So the issue of time management is deeper than what we tame it to be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So in that essence, that's why you tend to wonder why some people look more successful or aim to be more successful because of how they've used their time over a period of seconds and minutes. Because time is infinite. Whatever thing you want to do, it depends on you. Time becomes useless when there's no event attached to it.
Mm,
So that's why you can say I'm sleeping because sleeping is what you've attached to that time. I'm reading is what you've attached to a time. So as a person what are you attaching to that infinite system that the world revolves around? What are you doing as an individual, as a youth, as a child, as an adult? What are you planning to achieve? That's just the question we should ask ourselves continuously and make it a conscious effort to plan our days, to plan what we want to do. And if it's going to take you, if it's going to be a bit challenging for you to do that, I think if you can assign someone to help you, you should go ahead. I always ask a friend, please, can you call me? I want to do this. Can you call me? That was a
Mm,
challenge in my friend. I said, I'm always asking you, what did you do today? Have you carried on with your goals? Why aren't you asking me the same question? And the friend was like, I'm asking you. So if that's what it would take you to be able to do what you can do to attain your own particular goal in life, do that. And if you're a person that can float on your own, do that. Many of us need someone to always ask. So know your type of person, know what works for you, and go on with it. I think that would help in regards to time management.
mm. Thank you very much for uh, your time this evening. And I think I have to also thank especially Daddy and Mommy because they have been of great help too in raising such a wonderful daughter. So it's been a wonderful time this evening. Daddy, this is coming from Satim Studio. Thank you for joining us this evening. And Mommy, thank you for joining us also. So we hope to, we are doing this every week, trying to trash out different areas so that people out there, they will know that it is possible to achieve a particular thing. So to all the students out there, you have a lot to gain. You as a student, you only can determine where you can, the height that you can reach in life. Nobody can determine that for you. So if you want to achieve any goal, if you want to attain any height, you alone can determine that in by yourself and with yourself. So you don't need any friend to plan how am I going to achieve this goal. You can sit down and do that. I had problems some time ago. I sat down, I trashed it out, and today I'm grateful to God that I was able to trash those things out. And all the result that I'm carrying all through my life, there were things I sat down, I did them myself because I was able to come to a point of deciding what to do with my life. So you out there, you can also come to that point of deciding what to do with your life, how to manage your time with your friends, how to manage your time in the church. Rightly said by Pauline Adetola, if you tell her that your church will close by 8:30 and you pass that time, she will have to go. I think I'll have to adopt that method from now henceforth because it will also help each and every one of us out there because churches, they can just go on and on, dancing, doing all sorts of things, and you're just you. It's good to go to church, but if you do it excessively, it becomes a problem. When I was in school, I always tell people that you can be spiritual and at the same time you are good academically. Spirituality and academics, striking a balance. That is my normal topic. When I was in school, I always preach it in church. Spirituality and academics, striking a balance. You must learn how to strike a balance in whatever you do in life. And God will help each and every one of us. And also, lastly, we must not forget a God factor in managing your time. In this program, we always talk about the God factor. It's very, very important. So the God factor is very, very important. You must always communicate. If you're having challenges in managing time, after you have tried all sorts of methods, it's not working, the next thing you should do is to go to God and pray. God will always answer your prayer. So once again, a very big thank you from Satin Studio to Pauline Adetola and to all our friends and brothers, sisters, well wishers out there listening to us this evening. So we hope to see you again next week. For now, Pauline Adetola, our audience, they are requesting that you come back again next time. So hopefully we'll give you an invitation again so that you can also join us. Thank you for joining us this evening. Have a great weekend or a great week ahead. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.